Good day everyone, we are the group 7 and we are going to tackle about semantics and pragmatics and metaphor. Hi, I'm Crispabs BRIGINO and I'm with my group mates MECAYLA, ANDO, VINICE, HEARTH, ESTRADA, TERESA, TUGOT, and GANOL. So let's start.
Lesson Objective. After thoroughly reading his learning module and actively participating in the synchronous class discussion, students are expected to differentiate about semantics aspects and pragmatic aspects of metaphor, including speaker intentions, contextual relevance, cultural nuances, social dynamics, and irony and indirectness. Intricate the meaning of cognitive aspects of metaphor, cultural and contextual influences, and challenges and debates in metaphor analysis. Integrate the understanding of semantics and pragmatics of metaphor in different types of context.
Understanding semantics and pragmatics. Semantics is the study of language. It deals with how words and expressions convey meanings, the relationship between words, and the interpretation of sentences. Semantics examines both literal, figurative meaning, exploring how words contribute to the overall understanding of a message. Pragmatics, on the other hand, focuses on the use of language in context. It involves the study of how context influences the interpretation of communication. Pragmatic considers factors such as speaker intentions, implied meaning, and the effect of cultural social context on language. Semantics and pragmatics play crucial roles in understanding metaphors, enriching the complexity of language. Semantics help unravel the literal and metaphorical meaning of words, while pragmatics delves into contextual, social, and cultural aspects that shape metaphorical expressions. Together, they provide a comprehensive lens through which we can explore how metaphors convey nuanced meaning beyond their surface interpretation, enriching communication with layers of significance and depth. In this interface semantics unveils the internet symbolism, while pragmatic unveils the contextual forces that molds metaphorical language in our daily communication.
Hi, my name is TERESA TUGOT and I am going to talk about semantics and metaphor. Semantics is the branch of linguistics that deals with the study of meaning in language. It explores how words, phrases, and sentences convey meaning both in their literal sense and in the broader context of communication. Semantics aims to understand the relationships between words and the concepts they represent, as well as how these linguistics elements contribute to the overall understanding of a language. It delves into the structure of meaning and the principles governing the interpretation of language, encompassing various aspects such as lexical semantics, meaning of individual words, and compositional semantics, meaning derived from combining words in sentences. Now, what I'm about to give is an example of lexical semantics. For instance, kill, murder, slaughter, and assassinate. They basically all mean the same thing, but the use of each word has a different meaning for students of semantics. For example, I killed someone. There's no plan. But
Pragmatics and
I
metaphor.
just killed someone. But
Pragmatics
if
is a
I
branch
say
of
I
linguistics that
murdered
deals
someone,
with the study of
I
language used
planned it.
in context.
There's a
It goes
step by
beyond the
step.
literal meaning of words and
But
explores how
what if I
context,
say
social
I
factors, and speaker
slaughtered
intentions
someone?
influence the interpretation of language.
Sounds like I brutally
It
killed them.
addresses the way speakers use language to achieve
And
specific
what if I
communicative
say
goals
I
and how listeners
assassinated
infer
someone?
meaning beyond what is explicitly
Means that
stated.
this
In
someone
essence,
must
pragmatics
have been
examines
on
the
a higher
practical
rank
aspects
in
of
the
language that
society,
facilitate
like a
effective
prince or a
communication in
king.
different social and cultural settings. Pragmatics significantly influences metaphorical meaning by taking into account the context, speaker intentions, and social dynamics surrounding the use of metaphors. Here's how. 1. Speaker intentions. Example: Can you pass me the salt? The pragmatic aspect involves understanding that it is not a literal request for the salt but a conventional way of asking someone to hand over the salt during a meal. 2. Contextual relevance. Example: She's walking on thin ice. Pragmatics helps interpret the warning or precarious situation implied. Understanding the context is crucial, as it could refer to a risky decision or a delicate social situation. 3. Cultural nuances. Example: His argument was a slam dunk, may be more pragmatically effective in a cultural context where basketball is well known. Pragmatics consider cultural familiarity for effective metaphorical communication. 4. Social dynamics. Example: Throwing in the towel. The pragmatic aspect involves recognizing the social convention of conceding defeat. Pragmatics helps interpret the speaker's intention to communicate surrender or resignation. 5. Irony and indirectness. Example: Nice job, Einstein, might be used sarcastically. Pragmatics helps interpret the intended irony as the literal meaning contradicts the speaker's actual attitude. Here is an example of demonstrating pragmatics aspects of metaphor. Thanks for the help. Your advice was a lifesaver. Pragmatic aspect. In this metaphor, lifesaver is used to express profound gratitude for valuable assistance. Pragmatics aids in understanding the speaker's appreciation and the significant impact of the advice on the situation.
Interplay between semantics and pragmatics in metaphor. The interplay between semantics and pragmatics in creating metaphorical meaning and integrate, as both contribute in distinct elements to the richness of metaphor. First, semantic foundation. Role. Semantics provide the foundation by establishing the literal meanings of words and their inherent associations. Metaphors often leverage existing semantic connection to convey abstract or complex ideas. Example: In the metaphor, time is a thief. Semantic lays the groundwork by defining time and thief in their literal senses. Second, pragmatic extensions. Role. Pragmatic extends the meaning beyond the literal sense by considering the context, speaker intention, and social dynamics. It refines and shapes the metaphor based on situational factors. Example: Pragmatic comes into play by understanding that in the context of aging or missed opportunities, the metaphor implies a sense of loss or irreversibility. Third, nuance interpretation. Interaction of the nuance interpretation is a semantic establishes the basic meaning, and pragmatics refines it for nuance interpretation. The combined effect allows listeners to grasp the metaphor's depth and its speaker's intended message. Example: Semantic defines hearts of stone, and pragmatic helps interpret it metaphorically, understanding the lack of empathy or emotional warmth. Fourth, cultural and contextual considerations. Interplay. Semantics provides the universal meanings, while pragmatics adjusts the interpretation based on cultural nuances and contextual relevances. Example: The metaphor walking on a thin ice. is semantically clear but pragmatically considers the context to discern whether it refers to a risky decision or a delicate social situation. Fifth, irony and indirectness. Cooperation of this, semantics establishes literal meanings, and pragmatics allows for indirect, ironic, and sarcastic uses of language. This cooperation enhances the expressiveness of metaphor. Example, semantics defines throwing in the towel, and the pragmatics recognizes the social convention and speaker's intention to convey resignation. In essence, semantics and pragmatics collaborate to shape metaphorical meaning, semantics laying the foundation and pragmatics refining and adapting it to a specific communicative context, adding layers of depth and nuance to the metaphorical expression we use to interpret.
Cognitive aspect of metaphor. Metaphor is not only a linguistic device but also a cognitive phenomenon. In this section, we will explore how metaphor is processed cognitively and the relationship between cognitive processes, semantics, and pragmatics in metaphor. For example, in the metaphor time is money, the source domain of money is mapped into the target domain of time. This mapping allows us to understand that time can be seen as a valuable resource that can be wasted or saved. In metaphor, the semantic aspects involve the mapping of concepts from the source to the target domain. This mapping is based on the inherent similarities or associations between the two domains. The semantic interpretations of the metaphor helps us grasp the basic conceptual structure underlying the metaphorical expression. For example, in the metaphor she's a shining star, the semantic interpretation would focus on the similarity between the person and the star. However, the pragmatic interpretation would consider the speaker's intention to convey admiration and praise towards the person.
Cultural and contextual influences. The interpretation of metaphor is not solely based on individual cognitive processes, but it is also influenced by cultural and contextual factors. Different cultures may have distinct metaphorical systems which shape the understanding and usage of metaphor. Cultural factors influence metaphor interpretation through the cultural values, beliefs, experiences that shapes our conceptualization of the world as a linear path or limited resource. In contrast, some indigenous cultures may have different metaphorical conceptualization of time, such as cyclic or event-based metaphor. Context factors also may play a crucial role in metaphor interpretation. The context in which a metaphor is used provide cues for understanding its intended meaning. The same metaphor can have different interpretations depending on the specific context in which it is used. For instance, the metaphor life is a journey can be interpreted differently depending on the context. In a graduation speech, it might be used to convey the idea of or progress and personal growth. In a eulogy, it might be used to express the idea of life as a series of experiences leading to a final destination.
Challenges and debates in metaphor analysis. The field of metaphor analysis is rich with ongoing debates and challenges. One of the key challenges is distinguishing between the semantic and pragmatic aspect of metaphor. While the semantic interpretation focuses on the inherent similarities between the domains, the pragmatic interpretation is considered the contextual and speaker-related factors.
Conclusion. In conclusion, understanding the cognitive and cultural and contextual aspects of metaphor is crucial for comprehending and interpreting metaphorical expression. Metaphor processing involves cognitive processes such as conceptual mapping and embodiment, which allow us to make sense of metaphors. Cultural and contextual factors
shape the interpretation of metaphors, leading to variation in metaphorical understanding across different cultures and contexts. The ongoing debates in the field of metaphor analysis highlight the challenges in distinguishing between semantic and pragmatics aspects and understanding the role of conventionality. Considering both semantics and pragmatics is essential for a comprehensive understanding of metaphorical expression.